It's time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, KCAL 9 presents the Dodgers as they take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Wednesday evening to you, wherever you may be. Final game of the series with Arizona, and the D-backs have now beaten the Dodgers 4 out of 5, trying to sweep the series for the first time since the end of July last year. For the Dodgers, trying to snap a 6-game losing streak, they'll go with their ace, Clayton Kershaw, who, among other things, has allowed 3 runs or less in his last 19 starts. He's 7-6 against Arizona, but he is 4-1 against them here at Dodger Stadium. On the mound for Arizona, they find themselves a game and a half back of Colorado. Their left-hander, a young fella out of Louisiana by the name of Wade Miley. Miley last year was a 16-game winner, and he has an earned run average of 2 here at Dodger Stadium. So the Dodgers in Arizona winding things up. We'll have the ball game and a whole lot more coming up right after this. With bacon, onion straws, and pepper jack cheese. Dealers, we make it easy. And by the Jim Beam Bourbon Burger with bacon, onion straws, and pepper jack cheese, all slathered in Jim Beam bourbon sauce. Only at Carl's Jr. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dodger Stadium on this Wednesday evening to conclude the three-game series between the Dodgers and Arizona. Arizona having won the first two, and they've now beaten the Dodgers 4 out of 5. To carry it even farther, they have beaten the Dodgers 14 and lost 6 here at Dodger Stadium. And if you want to take it to both ballparks, it's been all Gibson. They have beaten the Dodgers 14 of the last 17 times. So tonight, the Dodgers try to stop them with Clayton Kershaw. Here's the Arizona lineup. A.J. Pollock in center field, Didi Gregorius the shortstop, Paul Goldschmidt at first base. Cody Ross will be in left field. Martin Prado will be at third base. Will Nieve will be behind the plate. Gerardo Parra in right field. Josh Wilson at second base. And Wade Miley on the mound. On the mound for the Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw with a record of 3-2. He is 0-1 this year against Arizona. 7-6 lifetime, but he usually pitches exceptionally well against Arizona here at Dodger Stadium. He is 4-1. And to show you just how effective he has been, he has allowed 3 runs or less in each of his last 19 starts. So we'll see how it goes for him tonight with Pollock, Gregorius, and then Goldschmidt in that order. So Clayton Kershaw trying to shut down a very good offense, for that matter, a very good ball club. Arizona has homered in 8 straight games. They're number 1 in fielding. And they had a sweep of 3 here the end of July and the beginning of August last year. Clayton ready and delivers, and the fastball is high to Pollock. 1 ball and no strikes. A.J. from Hebron, Connecticut, went to school at Notre Dame. Played basketball there and varsity soccer. Good all-around athlete. Takes a strike, and the count 1-1. Game time temperature 64 degrees and no breeze to give you a chill. Very nice evening. 1 ball and 1 strike, and Kershaw right back with a pitch high. 2-1 the count. As usual, you look into one area where you find one team dominating the other. And basically, it's what are they doing with runners in scoring position. The 2-1 pitch on the way, swung on, hit down the right field line, slicing foul. A trio of Dodgers looking, but it's back in the stands, out of play, and the count 2-2. Let's talk about runners in scoring position. For Arizona, they have 11 RBIs, hitting .286. And for the Dodgers, and this seems to be a lament since almost opening day. With runners in scoring position in the series, the Dodgers have 2 runs batted in. They are 1 for 17. Kershaw turns on the rubber now, and the 2-2 pitch on the way, and that's taken a little low. Ball 3. 3-2 the count to A.J. Pollock, whose middle name, however, is Lorenz. 3-2. Gregorius on deck. Kershaw into the windup. Clayton ready and fires, and a ground ball inside third and going down the line. In pursuit of it is Elian Herrera. Into second base and holding with the double is Pollock. So a repeat for the West Coast, because last night Gerardo Parra opened up the first inning with a double. So Pollock rips one inside third. They certainly were not playing him to pull. Uribe far off the line. And a double goes whistling down in the corner. And now you have Gregorius, Goldschmidt, and Ross trying to pick up Pollock. So Pollock at second base. Gregorius last night had 3 hits and a sacrifice. We'll see what they have him doing here. He starts to swing, holds up, and it'll cost him a strike. Gregorius, the kid who was born in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, 4 for 9 in the series and hitting .436. Runner at second, nobody out, just the start of the ball game. Kershaw ready. The strike one. Fastball is swung on and missed, and the count 0-2. We were talking about runners in scoring position, and of course the Diamondbacks open up with a runner at second. Opponents against Clayton Kershaw with runners in scoring position are hitting 194. So the strike two pitch on the way is just off the corner. 1 ball and 2 strikes, the count to Gregorius. A flashy shortstop and has had a wonderful and a very impressive series. So the left-hand hitter waiting. Kershaw looks back at Pollock, and the 1-2 pitch coming up. Clayton delivers, breaking ball low, check swing, no swing, and the count 2-2. Steve Sachs coaching at first. Matt Williams over at third for Kirk Gibson. And a 2-2 count. Saxey keeping an eye at second base at Pollock, and the same thing for Matt Williams. Kershaw, extended stretch. Now he's ready, and the 2-2 pitch swung on, hit in the air to right center and deep. Efield goes over to make the catch. Tagging up is Pollock, and he easily moves over to third. So Gregorius hits the ball a fair piece into right center, a long out, and deep enough to get his man over to third. So with 1 out, the big guy, Paul Goldschmidt, coming up. Goldschmidt last night had a game-winning home run and a walk, and in the first game he had 4 hits, including a home run. However, he has not had much success at all against Clayton Kershaw. Goldschmidt hitting .071. He's 1 for 14 against Clayton. Kershaw delivers, and the first pitch is strike, and the count 0-1. With a runner at third, we look it up, and the answer is Kershaw does have 2 wild pitches. First inning, no score. Pollock at third with 1 out. Kershaw comes back 0-1, and he's in the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike. Kershaw would like to put Goldschmidt away. He has struck out 52 while walking 15, so better than 3-1. 1 ball and 1 strike to count to Paul Goldschmidt. Kershaw from a stretch. Goldschmidt 7 home runs, 27 runs batted in, fouls off a pitch, and the count 1-2. Goldschmidt, who signed a lengthy contract, so he figures to be with Arizona for a long time. Last 3 games for Kirk Gibson, he is 6 for 12. 1 ball and 2 strikes the count. Kershaw ready, comes with a fastball fouled away. Well, if it isn't Kershaw pitching, Goldschmidt has enjoyed almost every game at Dodger Stadium, where he's 1 for 14 against Clayton Kershaw. At Dodger Stadium, he's hitting .380 with 4 home runs. So Goldschmidt up there fouling him off every which way, and a 1-2 pitch coming up. First baseman waits. Kershaw is set. Clayton delivers. A check swing. Comebacker, and it gets away from Kershaw. Everybody's safe. Holding at third as Pollock. So it looked like Kershaw was going to have a comebacker for an out at first, and it got away from him. So first and third, and we'll wait for the scoring. It's hard to react on a check swing. Kershaw just missed the bouncer as he stood on the side of the mound, and by the time he picked it up, no play. So we will assume an error until we hear otherwise. First and third, 1 out, and Cody Ross, the batter. So Cody Ross, who played briefly for the Dodgers, hitting .269. Ross hitting .176 against Kershaw. And the first pitch to Cody high and inside, ball 1. It will be an error. Charge to Clayton Kershaw. So he had a reasonable opportunity of having 2 outs and a runner at third. Instead, 1 out, and a runner at first and third. Ross waiting, right-hand batter. Kershaw checking. Now Clayton delivers, and it's a big bouncer foul outside of third down the line. Cody Ross out of New Mexico. Hitting back of him is Martin Prado. If you just joined us, A.J. Pollock opened up the game with a double to left. Gregorius a long fly ball to right center so that Pollock could move over to third. A comebacker gets away for an error from Kershaw. And the 1-1 pitch coming up. Ross swings. Hard ground ball to short. Kicked by D. Throws to second. Back to first. And they get the double play. So Gordon bobbled and dropped it. And the Dodgers still pulled it off. 6-4-3. No runs. A hit. An error. 1 left. And at the end of half an inning, Arizona nothing. And the Dodgers coming up. Pitches and gets out of it without allowing a run. Here's the Dodger lineup. Gordon at short, Punto at second, and Kemp in center field. Gonzalez at first, Ellis behind the plate. Ethier in right, Uribe at third, Herrera, and the pitcher. And the first pitch to D. Gordon in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Wade Miley won 16 games last year. He comes right back with another strike. And he's out in front of Gordon, 0-2. Dodgers a little shaky in the first inning. Strike 2 pitch. Gordon swings, hits it to left field. That one goes down the line foul and out of play. And it's still 0-2. So you had Gordon very shaky starting the double play. Kershaw committing an error. Here's the strike 2 pitch, very high. It brings up a difference, another difference between the two teams. Arizona is the best fielding team in the major leagues. They've made only 7 errors. 1-2 pitch is swung on and missed, and that'll do it for Gordon. So only 7 errors for Arizona, 23 errors for the Dodgers, and Nick Punto coming up. Personnel move. The Dodgers have called up Tim Fedorovich, and they have sent Justin Sellers down. So the Dodgers now with the luxury of having 3 catchers. The first pitch to Punto, a bunt down to get it. Miley picks it up, throws to first, and gets him. So Nick Punto, hitting a home run and a double last night, tries to bunt and hits back to the box, and that'll bring up Matt Kemp. Matt Kemp has raised his average to 273, but there's still no sock. 1 home run, 14 runs batted in. Taking a look at Wade Miley and his work against Matt Kemp. Miley waiting for Kemp to settle in. Matt has 2 home runs against Miley and takes a strike. He's 3 for 6 with the 2 home runs and 3 RBIs. So we have 2 down. First inning, no score. Miley back, and there's a check swing for a strike, and they count 0-2. D-backs had first and third with 1 out, and Ross banged into a double play. Now the Dodgers have quick 2 outs, and here's Kemp. Miley from the third base side of the rubber turns ready, and the left-hander delivers low and inside, ball 1. Wade Miley was the first Arizona rookie to make an All-Star team. He did that last year. Fastball fouled away. He was on several lists as rookie pitcher of the year. He's out of Hammond, Louisiana. He now lives in Laranger, Louisiana, population of about 5,800. So Miley checks, and the 1-2 pitch swung on and missed, and that'll do it for Matt, having a lot of trouble making contact as he strikes out the 33rd time. And at the end of an inning, no score. Second inning, no score in the ball game. The Dodgers and the D-backs. It'll be Prado, Nieves, and Parra. Clayton Kershaw was a Gold Glove winner in 2011. He had not committed an error since August of 2010, and then he made the error on the comebacker by Goldschmidt. He gets a strike into Prado. 0-1 to Martin. Veteran hitting .234. Right-hand batter. Prado swings, fouls the next one off, and the count 0-2. Martin Prado, 6'1", 190. He's 29 years old. He'll be 30 the end of October. He's hit safely in 6 of his last 7. Now the strike 2 pitch on the way, grounded foul over near the Dodger dugout. Martin Prado came to Arizona with 4 others on the big deal that involved Justin Upton and infielder Chris Johnson going to Atlanta. No balls and 2 strikes. Kershaw fires very high. Ball 1, 1-2. Last year, Prado led the National League. He had 60 multi-hit games. Prado in and out of the box. Kershaw waiting for him. No score, just starting second inning. D-backs had first and third with one out in the first inning. The 1-2 pitch is swung on and fouled back. Still 1-2 the count to Martin Prado. Prado back up. Kershaw already making 20 some odd pitches. Back he comes to Prado, swung on. Little fly ball, going to be trouble, except going out is Gordon to make the catch. So a pop fly almost into no man's land. One away. Say don't miss Matt Kemp bobblehead night at Dodger Stadium Tuesday at 7:10. Dodgers and Nationals. The first 50,000 fans in attendance take home a mini home run posing Kemp bobblehead, compliments of United Healthcare. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. So one away here in the second inning. Will Nieves, right-hand hitting catcher, takes high, ball one. Nieves from Puerto Rico, originally signed by the Padres out of high school. He lives in San Juan. Doesn't play much, but he's hitting .375. And a ground ball to the left of Gordon. Nice pick. He turns, pulls Gonzalez off the bag, and Adrian makes the tag. Gordon having to make a full 360 going to his left, and then he lost sight of where Gonzalez was and almost threw it away. Nice play by Adrian. He had to come off the bag right into the runner. 2 down, second inning. No score. And Gerardo Parra coming up. So a good combination there by Gordon and Gonzalez. Parra, who celebrated his 26th birthday on Monday. Left-hand batter takes very high, ball one. Parra and Kershaw, well, we won't dig up the whole story, but you may remember Kershaw hollering at Parra from the dugout. It was September the 14th, 2011. The next pitch is high, ball two, 2-0 the count. How has Parra done against Kershaw and vice versa? Parra's hitting .308. The 2-0 pitch swung on, hit in the air to left center and deep. Kemp going over and going to have to play it off the wall. Into second base goes Parra, standing with a double. So Gerardo Parra, who seems to always get in the Dodgers' hair, doubles to left center with 2 out. Hit number 2 against Kershaw. 11 doubles for Parra this year. And the batter will be Josh Wilson. So Josh Wilson, the second baseman, gave way to Pennington last night. And Wilson in the first game went 0 for 5, striking out 3 times. Kershaw out of a stretch, a look back at second, and the pitch to Wilson, and that's in for a strike, and the count 0-1. The Diamondbacks have several men on the DL, and the man they really miss is second baseman Aaron Hill. So Wilson doing the best he can to hold down the fort. Strike one pitch, a ground ball to Uribe. He winds it up, throws low. Nice pick by Gonzalez, and that's the inning. No runs, 1 hit, a double, and a man left. At the end of an inning and a half, no score. Because of a couple of doubles, Arizona has had runners in scoring position, and they are 0 for 4 going up against Kershaw. Now the Dodgers with Adrian Gonzalez, A.J. Ellis, and Andre Ethier. One other thing for Arizona, and it occurred last night in the 9th inning, and that was J.J. Putz with a strained elbow, and the veteran reliever has had to go on the DL. So they brought up Will Harris. First pitch to Adrian, in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Bob Brenly, who played this game and broadcast, and he's now doing Arizona games, he came in to give us just a little tip about Wade Miley. The fact that Miley absolutely hates to turn his back on his catcher. Fastball fouled away, and the count 0 balls and 2 strikes. So he's right up on top of the rubber waiting for Nieves to go back into a crouch. So it'll just give you something extra to think about. Miley, who pitches in a hurry, he's about ready. So is Gonzalez. Strike 2 pitch on the way, down and away, 1-2. Miley out of Louisiana. The left-hander's 1-2 pitch. Adrian swings, hits it back a shortstop, and it is caught as Gregorius ran by. It was caught by the third baseman, Martin Prado. So Gregorius, a very flashy shortstop. He's all over the place. It was a routine play for Prado, and Gregorius ran right behind him. So 1 away, and the batter is A.J. Ellis. Ellis checks in, hitting .283. He has a look at a strike, and the count 0-1. Miley from the third base side of the rubber. Strike 1 pitch, fastball missed, 1-1. They were asking Miley, tell us about Laranger, Louisiana. And he said there's a whole lot of nothing. A grocery store, a gas station, and a school, and that's about it. The next pitch to A.J. in for a strike. He said there's no stoplights, no stop signs. We do have a caution light, but that's it. And no chain restaurants. 1-2 pitch, a one-hopper, staying with it nicely is Josh Wilson to throw him out. So Ellis hits the ball hard, and the second baseman short hopped it, kept it in front of him, made the play. And the batter now is Andre Ethier. Andre Ethier checking in against Wade Miley. And we'll see how they've done against each other. Andre hitting .286, 2 for 7. The fellow who has hurt Miley in the past, Dodgers second baseman Mark Ellis, who has 3 home runs against him and is hitting .444, but as you know, can't play. Ethier takes inside, ball 1. 1-0 the count. Miley looks to Nieves. The 1-0 pitch on the way. That's low and off the plate. 2-0 the count. Wade dreamt growing up in Louisiana that someday he'd be a pitcher for the Atlanta Braves. Ethier, a high fly ball to right center, but very capable. Waiting for it is Parra, and that's that. 6 in a row retired by Wade Miley. And at the end of 2, no score. A.J. Pollock, and then Didi Gregorius. Miley has a home run this year. He hit it against the Giants in a game that they lost to San Francisco. And Wade takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Hits as he pitches, left-handed all the way. Kershaw's next one, down and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. We're mentioning that Miley, growing up, dreamt that he would be pitching someday for Atlanta. Instead, he signed a contract with Arizona. And against whom do you think he made his major league debut? That's right. He was the starting pitcher against Atlanta. The 1-2 pitch on the way. Cuffed foul off third into the lower deck. And the count remains 1-2. Kershaw, both feet on the rubber. Miley waiting. And the 1-2 pitch on the way to Wade. Chased and missed. Breaking ball in the dirt. Down he goes. And we have 1 out here in the third. That would be strikeout number 1 for Kershaw. And the batter would be Pollock. Seeing that curveball go in the dirt. A note on Kershaw. The highest strikeout percentage on an at-bat ending with a curveball. It's Kershaw. Meanwhile, Pollock pops it up. The middleman is Punto to make the catch in shallow right field, and we have 2 down. So let's go back and check again. When Miley struck out on the curveball in the dirt, in the last 2 years, Kershaw has finished off an at-bat almost 59% of the time with the curve. Then you have Darvish, Strasburg, and Hamels. So 2 out. No score, third inning, and here's Didi Gregorius, who takes a pitch a little low, ball 1, 1-0. The flashy shortstop hitting .425. They didn't expect him to be this successful with the bat. The glove they knew. He fouls it back, and the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Gregorius last night sacrificed and had 3 singles. In game 1, Gregorius had 1 hit in his last at bat. 1-1 pitch on the way to the left-hand hitter, swung on and missed. 1-2 the count. So Kershaw, it's the second time through the lineup. No score. Clayton ready, and the 1-2 pitch coming up. Fastball just off the corner, and the count 2-2. Clayton's tempo has quickened up a little bit. The 2-2 pitch on the way. Gregorius fouls it back. Gregorius hit his first big league home run in his first at bat as a Diamondback. It was not his first major league at bat. He had 20 at bats for the Reds, but it took place in, of all places, Yankee Stadium, a place he said he always dreamed of playing. 2-2 pitch is a curveball, but it stayed up. Ball 3. Though he tried to polish him off with Uncle Charlie, and it stayed inside. For those on TV, you can take another look. 3-2 the count. Kershaw ready and deals. Fastball hit late and foul down the line, out of play. I guess the single most memorable pitch I ever saw Clayton Kershaw make was in Vero Beach in an exhibition game. Sean Casey was the batter. And he threw the darndest curveball I ever saw to strike him out. 3-2 pitch on the way is swung on. That's fouled away off to the left, out of play. Still 3-2. Yeah, I think that single pitch to Sean Casey caught everybody's attention. Who is this kid Kershaw? Clayton ready, and the 3-2 pitch to Didi Gregorius is a check swing foul. Pitch in on the hands. He tried to hold up, couldn't do it. That curveball to Sean Casey, that was in 2006 in spring training. All right, Clayton ready in the 3-2 pitch on the way. Gregorius holds up on a pitch in the dirt, and it's ball 4. No swing, says Paul Emmel. So a 2-out walk, and we'll bring up Paul Goldschmidt. Check swing, and he just did hold up, did not break his wrists. One year there was a big debate about half swings and all that, and they suddenly said, well, the umpire will determine if there is intent to swing the bat. And then it started, oh, now all of a sudden we have mind readers. So they kind of dropped that intent. It's a tough call either way. So Gregorius at first with 2 out. He does not have a stolen base. Clayton out of his stretch, looks over at first, comes to the hitter, and misses ball 1. For Gregorius, a rookie going up against Clayton Kershaw, that was a 10-pitch at bat. He had 2 strikes, and he fouled off 4 and then got the walk. So pretty impressive. 2 out, 3rd inning, no score. Goldschmidt, big right-hand batter, 1 for 15 in his career. Throw to first, not in time. Steve Sachs over to counsel Gregorius. Kershaw's given up 2 hits and a walk in 2 2/3 innings. No score. The 1-0 pitch to Goldschmidt. That's taken a fastball for a strike. He hits 93 on the gun. Goldschmidt gives you a fine strike zone. He's 6'3", about 245. In his career, hitting about 380 here at Dodger Stadium. The 1-1 pitch on the way, and that's a little low. Ball 2, 2-1. Goldschmidt is wearing out the Western Division on the road, hitting .338 against the National League West in the opponent's ballparks. 2-1 to Paul. Kershaw looks at Gregorius. Back he comes. A little high. Ball 3. 3-1. No runs. 2 hits for Arizona. Nothing across for the Dodgers. We're in the top of the 3rd. Kershaw looks over at first. The 3-1 pitch to Goldschmidt. Swung on. High fly ball to right. Ethier going back to the track at the scoreboard to make the catch for the out. No runs, no hits, a man left. At the end of 2.5 innings, no score. No score, bottom of the third inning. Dodgers and the D-backs, Juan Uribe, Elian Herrera, and then Clayton Kershaw against Wade Miley. Uribe hitting .234 with 2 home runs, 5 runs batted in. So Miley, who always looks like he's ready to pitch, checks the sign from Will Nieves, and the left-hander deals. Uribe looks, and it's ball 1. 1-0 the count to Juan. So Uribe trying to get something started. Miley ready to come back with a fastball in for a strike. Uribe just 0 for 1 against Miley. Miley's a very popular guy on the ball club. Fastball strike, 1-2. One reason is he doesn't mind making fun of himself and the fact he's from Louisiana. The next pitch in the dirt. Among other things, Miley says that he's been alligator hunting, not necessarily using the TV techniques. Ground ball to short. Gregorius up with it, guns it over to first, and we have 1 out in the third inning. So the batter now will be Elian Herrera. Herrera just called up because he was up with the Dodgers last year, remember. 1 away, bottom of the third, no score. Herrera batting .251 last year. Had 1 home run, 17 runs batted in. Miley into the windup. Fastball in there for a strike. And the count 0-1. The 0-1 pitch punched on the ground to the right side. Josh Wilson is on it. So quickly we have 2 out. And the batter will be Clayton Kershaw. You know, Mother's Day, you can give your mom the gift of Dodger baseball. The first 40,000 fans in attendance receive a tote bag, compliments of Murad Skincare. And after the game, moms and their families are invited to enjoy a walk around the park. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions today. Miley has retired 8 in a row. He has struck out 2 and starts Kershaw off with a strike. So each pitcher has a home run, and each pitcher homered against the Giants. Kershaw to beat the Giants, Miley in a losing effort. No balls and 2 strikes. Miley right back with a pitch fouled off. Wade Miley was telling his teammates about last year going to New York. Strike 2 pitch fouled away. He said he left his Times Square hotel and made it 2 blocks before turning around and going back to the hotel. He said there's people everywhere. You can't even cross the road. You can understand if you're a country boy from a town of about 5,000 trying to walk the streets in New York. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way, and that's in the dirt. 2-2 the count. So Wade Miley, who was certainly mentioned for Rookie of the Year. He was elected Rookie of the Year by the Sporting News. Fine young pitcher who won 16 last year. Miley says no a couple of times. Kershaw backs out. 2-2 the count. Here comes Miley, and it's golfed at and fouled away. Kershaw just did get a little bit of that. Two balls and 2 strikes. Miley comes back, and it is swung on and fouled. Still 2-2. The outfield is swung way around to left field. They would bet the house that Kershaw cannot pull the ball to right field. 2-2 to Clayton. Miley delivers a broken bat, a little ground ball to third. It's a fair ball, and the out recorded at first. So Kershaw taps one up along third. 9 in a row retired by Miley. And at the end of 3, no score. Cable. Enjoy all the things you love better. Call Time Warner Cable 1-855-WANT-TWC. And by 76, we're on the driver's side. 4th inning, no score in the ball game. Battle of left-handers, Clayton Kershaw and Wade Miley. Interesting that Miley went through the Dodger lineup facing all 9. And the Dodger hitter who saw the most pitches was Clayton Kershaw. He was up there for a 9-pitch at-bat. So into the 4th inning we go with Cody Ross. He'll be followed by Martin Prado and then Will Nieves. Cody hitting .266, 1 home run, 9 runs batted in. Grounded into a double play in the 1st inning. He had 1 hit last night, striking out twice. Hit cleanup in game 1 and had a single and a home run. Ball 1. Tomorrow an open date, and then Friday night, Dodgers are back at it again against Miami. 1-1 the count. No runs, 2 hits for Arizona. No runs, no hits for the Dodgers. Curveball fouled away. That came up there at 73. Good pitch, Ross just said. I think everybody around home plate would agree. Jerry Meals, the plate umpire. 1-2 to Cody. And the fastball fouled away. Jerry Meals calling balls and strikes. Been umpiring over 16 years. He's from Pennsylvania. And he began umpiring Little League games as a teenager, and that's where it all began. He had a big thrill as an umpire. Hard ground ball, base hit into left field. So Ross is aboard with a single, and the batter will be Martin Prado. To get back to Jerry Meals for the moment, he was the plate umpire for Justin Verlander's no-hitter at Toronto 2 years ago. So a leadoff single now by Cody Ross. Martin Prado popped a short, 0 for 1. Little flare. Gordon went out to get it. Prado hitting .232. Fastball in for a strike. 0-1 the count to Prado. The Braves wanted power, and they wanted Justin Upton. Diamondbacks wanted an infielder, and they got a good one. Prado last year hit .301 for Atlanta. Throw to first, and they got him. Cody was leaning and paid the price. So Kershaw, who has some pretty good numbers as a pickoff pitcher, and he hangs Ross out to dry, and just like that, 1 out in the 4th inning. So an embarrassed Ross. Meanwhile, Prado backs off in a pitch high. 1 ball and 1 strike. No score in the 4th. Kershaw ready. Here he comes with a fastball fouled off. 1-2 the count. Kershaw in his career, give or take a couple, has at least 71 pickoffs of runners at first base. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way, and that's grounded back of third. Fair ball, and Uribe gets it over the first. So Prado taps to third. 2 out, and Will Nieves coming up. That ball went right down the line. Paul Emmel was there to watch it get across the bag and watch Uribe throw him out. Nice play by Juan. Nieves, the catcher, grounded to short in the 2nd inning. Miguel Montero finally gets a day off. Seems like he catches every day. Nieves originally drafted by the Padres. Strike 1 pitch, off speed, but he missed. That was 74 miles an hour. 1-1 the count. The 1-1 pitch to the catcher. Swung on, popped in the air, foul. Gonzalez coming down. Ellis is there. Gonzalez makes a diving try, and he can't hold on to the ball as he hits the ground. It probably would have been an easier play for A.J. Ellis because he was right there. And Gonzalez one-handed it, and then his feet went out from under him, and it pops out of the glove. There'll be no play, no error. Again, the only error might have been the judgment of having Gonzalez from deep at first come racing down, and A.J. was already there. So let's see what that means as far as Nieves is concerned. He gets a break. 1-2 the count. And that's what it means. He strikes out. So a base hit, a runner picked off, a 1-2-3 inning as it turns, and at the end of 3.5 innings, no score. Your Southern California Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a luxurious Lexus today. For more information, visit Lexus.com. By Skechers Go Run 2 footwear, designed for speed. And by Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Good time. No score in the ball game. Bottom of the fourth inning. It's Wade Miley, Clayton Kershaw, and that young man. D. Gordon to start it off, then Nick Punto and Matt Kemp. Shows bunt, takes a strike, 0-1. Kershaw has made a total of 66 pitches. So far, Miley 39. And that's going to be hit into right center for a base hit. So Gordon a turn and hold as Parra gets it back in. So the leadoff single by D. Gordon, and that will bring up Nick Punto. They use the term splits whenever they talk about ball players versus left-handers and right-handers. And there's another split, home and road. There's so many. And there's another one for a pitcher, day and night. And the split for Miley is very interesting. In the daytime, he is 7-0. At night, he is 15-14. So we'll see what that means this evening. That's a strike. 0-1 the count to Punto. Last night homered and doubled. Also had a walk. Nick hitting .362 with a home run. 6 runs batted in. And that's sliced down the right field line. That's going to go in the corner. Chasing it is Parra. Gordon is going to be waved in. Here comes the relay. He scores on a double by Punto. So Nick Punto, a line drive double to right to pick up Gordon and give the Dodgers a 1-0 lead. It was a breaking ball, and Punto stayed with it, as the hitters say, kept his hands inside the ball and doubled to right. So it is 1-0 Dodgers. Punto with the RBI, and now Matt Kemp trying to pick him up. Matt struck out his first at bat in the first inning. Fastball fouled away. 0-1. That was a 91-mile-an-hour fastball. One thing that Gordon did, scoring from first on the double, we didn't have to see him take the challenge of trying to steal against Miley. And a high fly ball to right center, very playable. Parra is there. Punto tags, but he's not going. So Matt Kemp, lazy fly ball to right. 1 away, and the batter, Adrian Gonzalez.
Dodgers first baseman, number 23.
The reason we talk about D. Gordon scoring from first on the double, Wade Miley has made 43 starts in his career. He's only allowed 8 stolen bases. 8 have been caught. So in other words, since 2011, only 16 runners have ever attempted to steal against Miley. And of course, Gordon saved him the trouble by scoring from first on the double. Ground ball fair over first, down the line. Scoring is Punto. Jogging into second base with his double is Gonzalez, and the Dodgers lead 2-0. So Gordon singles to right center. Punto doubles him home. Gonzalez doubles Punto home. And the Dodgers sitting on top of a 2-0 lead. For Adrian, he continues his amazing hitting with runners in scoring position, and especially against left-hand pitchers. And the pitch in the dirt. Nice save by Nieves. Ball one. Going into the game, Adrian Gonzalez was hitting .378 against left-hand pitching. So Adrian doubles in Punto. Dodgers lead 2-0. Now with one out, Ellis trying to pick Gonzalez up. AJ hitting .280. That's off the plate. 2-0. Miley last year gave up one home run to a left-hand hitter. They hit .198 against him. So tonight we've seen Gordon single and Gonzalez double. Punto a switch hitter. So Adrian waiting for a ride home. 3-0 the count to AJ. And 3-1. On deck, Andre Ethier. Two runs, 3 hits, 1 error for the Dodgers. No runs, 3 hits, no errors for Arizona. 3-1. 3-2. Three balls, 2 strikes. Fastball foul down the line. So in the inning, a single by Gordon. Punto doubles him home. After Kemp flies out, Gonzalez doubles Punto home. 3-2 to A.J. Ellis. And that's hit in the air down the right field line. Coming over is Parra. Holding on is Gonzalez. So everybody going to right field. Gordon single to right. Punto double to right. Kemp fly to right. Gonzalez double to right. A.J. Ellis flies to right. And here's A.J. Ellis. He flies out, so now Ethier comes up, and he flied to right. Two out, Gonzalez at second. Dodgers lead 2-0. Oh, and 1 to count to Andre Ethier. Andre Ethier hitting .244 against left-handers, .242 against right-handers. Gonzalez tough to score from second on a base hit. And there's the base hit. Charging it is Ross. He'll stop him at third. There's no way they're going to run him more than 90 feet at a time. So Ethier goes the other way for a base hit. Runners at first and third, and Juan Uribe coming up. So 4 hits in the inning for the Dodgers to take a 2-0 lead. Uribe in his at-bat grounded to short, 0 for 1. Miley looks down. Nieves shuffling his cards. 0-1. Uribe way out in front of that change. That's fouled away. No balls, 2 strikes. Fouled away. They tell me one of the games they used to play in the Arizona clubhouse, it was thought up by J.J. Putz, was called Words with Wade. And they would give him some terrible word, ask him to define it, use it in a sentence, and the results were hysterical. But the point is, a very popular guy, and he loved laughing at himself and his inability. One of the words they gave him, Schadenfreude. I mean, you're going to talk to a guy from a town of 5,000. Schadenfreude? That's a German word, finding pleasure from the misfortune of others. Wade Miley. And the 1-2 pitch on the way. Fastball hit to right. Everybody goes to right. Para is there. And that's that. So the Dodgers put together 4 hits for 2 runs. And at the end of 4, lead 2-0. Kershaw 4 innings, 3 hits and no earned runs. But Miley, with people going the other way, 4 hits, good for 2 earned runs. Punto, the RBI double. Gonzalez a double. And talking about Gonzalez, I'm guessing he might have hurt himself. He has not taken his position. First of all, remember that fall he took on the foul ball. And there was no way he was going to score from second on the base hit. So Uribe is going to take over at first, and Luis Cruz is going to play third. So I'm not sure if it's the fall. We can show it to you again. He got his glove on it. Feet went out from under him. He landed heavily on his side. Stayed in. Got the base hit, the double, and got as far as third. And can't answer the bell for the 5th inning. So I have to believe that he was shaken up. So Uribe moves over to first, and Luis Cruz playing third. Gerardo Parra was a very busy guy in the fourth inning. Almost everybody hit the ball to him, with the exception of Ethier, who singled to left. Everybody else went to right field. Gerardo doubled 1 for 1, hitting .305. And ball one. If we get a report on Adrian Gonzalez, and of course you know he's playing with a sore neck anyway. That's a strike. And a good bunt. Kershaw down to get it. Good stretch by Uribe to stay on the bag. I tell you what was very close. Luis Cruz and Kershaw. Cruz just getting into the game. They almost knocked heads. Here's the bunt. Now here comes Cruz cutting across his Kershaw. Look out. And Cruz went into a crouch. Nice play by Uribe. One away in the fifth inning. Josh Wilson grounded out in the second inning. We're in the fifth, 2-0 in favor of the Dodgers. One ball and one strike. Kershaw has allowed 3 hits. Leadoff double to Pollock, a double to Parra, and a single to Ross. 1 and 2 to Josh. Wilson with the responsibility of playing second base until Hill comes back. Curveball punched off the glove of Uribe, and Wilson is aboard. So of course for Uribe, subbing for a Gold Glove over there at first. Unable to make the play. We'll wait for the scorer's judgment. Wade Miley will be coming up. Juan takes a swipe at it. He was caught in between hops. It will be an error. So 1 out. Wilson at first, Miley at the plate. And a bunt. Kershaw makes this play. So the sacrifice by Miley. 1-3 if you're scoring. Advancing Wilson to second. And they'll leave it up to A.J. Pollock. Pollock doubled and popped up. 1-4-2. Out of Hebron, Connecticut. The pride of Notre Dame. His father played rugby at Boston College. And he's apparently a pretty good guitar player. At Notre Dame, he majored in sociology. A strike. 0-1. Pollock, by the way, a first-round pick. A little more than 3 years ago, so he's arrived in a hurry. Oh and 1. 0-2. The D-backs have a good team now. They are only going to get better. When they get Aaron Hill back, and when they get Adam Eaton back, and Eaton is a terrific outfielder, and then Willie Bloomquist, a utility player, Gibby's going to be even tougher. But the weakness, it would think, for Arizona, at least right now, would be the bullpen with Putz on the DL. 1-2 the count to Pollock. Gregorius on deck. Clayton has made 75 pitches. Just did get a little bit of that big overhand breaking ball. So Pollock's still there. .6'1", 195. 25 years old. He'll be 26 in December. From Hebron, Connecticut. One and two. Got it. So Kershaw, who's not striking out a lot of people, he's only struck out 3, but he walks off at the end of 4.5, leading 2-0.
Winning combination is 11, 24, 2. Enter now on kcal9.com/bonus combo, sponsored by Jack in the Box.
Dodgers and D-backs going into the bottom of the 5th inning, 2-0 Dodgers. Wade Miley facing Elian Herrera, who tries to bunt and leaves it in Nieves mitt. 0-1. Couple of things to keep in mind midway through the game. We started the night by telling you Arizona had done well in the series in hitting with runners in scoring position. Ground ball to short. Gregorius. One away. Anyway, tonight so far, Arizona 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. And the thing to remember, Arizona is the only club in the major leagues not to have been shut out this year. Kershaw tapped to third in the 3rd inning. Kumaker, 2 out. So 2 down in the 5th. D. Gordon consuming a little time to let Kershaw get back to the dugout. Gordon has struck out, single to right, 1 for 2.
Shortstop number 9, D. Gordon.
D batting .294. Struck out in the 1st inning, singled and scored in the 4th. Strike. Goldschmidt not only is in on the grass, but he's way wide of the bag. 1-1. So if Gordon would be able to drag one down along the chalk, he'd have a good shot at a bunt single. 1-1. And he bunts in the air, foul over the backstop screen. You bunt a 91-mile-an-hour fastball, it can go almost anywhere. 1-2. Two balls, two strikes, two out, bottom of the fifth, 2-0 Dodgers. Gregorius, Goldschmidt, and Ross due up in the sixth. Fastball. 2-2 to D. I think he fouled that on his foot, so he's walking it off. That on the heel. So they go all the way. Waiting on deck, Nick Punto. Foul back. Three and two. And a ground ball into right field, base hit. So D. Gordon goes 2 for 3 with 2 singles to right. And the batter will be Nick Punto. Nick Punto tried to bunt for a base hit, bunted back to Miley, and then last time up double to right. So Nick hitting .373. We'll see what Gordon does over there at first against a good left-hander. Remember, we told you there have only been 16 guys attempt to run against Miley. And got him picked off. Whoa. So for D. Gordon, he was going to try to go, and they hang him out to dry. No runs a hit, nobody left. And at the end of 5, 2-0 Dodgers. We're at Shea Stadium in New York, and Fernando Valenzuela was on the mound. Fernando went on to win the Cy Young Award and Rookie of the Year. Let's go back to this one. So we have three good left-handers tonight with Kershaw, Miley, and Fernando. Gregorius flied to right and walked. 0-2. His first name, in fact, when I was reading some notes about him, I thought the notes were about maybe his sister, unfamiliar as we are with names in Amsterdam. His first name is Mariekson. Marie, M-A-R-I-E, and then K-S-O-N. His middle name is Julius. The last name Gregorius. Ground ball off the backhanded attempt. That's the trouble when you're an infielder and you know the guy who hits it runs extremely well. You're in such a hurry to get the ball and throw, you come up empty. So Gregorius
Number 44, Paul Goldschmidt.
will reach on the error. And the batter is Goldschmidt, who reached on an error, fly to right. Gregorius does not do much running, even in the minor leagues, although 1 year he did steal 16, but most of the time 5 and 6 stolen bases. Dodgers have made 3 errors tonight. And remember, Arizona has only made 7 errors all year. Gregorius, no stolen bases. That's a strike. Dodgers lead 2-0. Clayton Kershaw and Wade Miley. Goldschmidt followed by Ross. Nice save behind the plate by A.J. 2-1 the count. Steve Sachs over to say something to Gregorius. You wonder about putting a hit and run play on 2-1 with a swinger like Goldschmidt, who was struck out 36 times. He's not going. And there's a towering fly ball to left field. Watching it go back, and out is Herrera, and Goldschmidt has done it again. And just like that, a 2-2 tie for Goldschmidt. A home run tonight, a game-winning home run in the 9th inning last night, and a 2-run home run in the 5th inning in the first game. I told you 2 things. He hits very, very well here at Dodger Stadium, and he hits exceptionally well on the road against the West. So the error by Gordon is promptly cashed in. Now the batter is Cody Ross in a 2-2 tie. For Clayton Kershaw, that would be the 10th home run that he's allowed. 1 ball and 1 strike. So speed and power. The speed of Gregorius to cause the error, and then the power of Goldschmidt, and that's that. And that's going to be hit into right center field for a base hit. So Cody Ross, who was picked off in the 4th inning, comes right back with his 2nd hit.
Up next, third baseman, number 14, Martin Cano.
So Martin Prado coming up. Goldschmidt with 8 home runs. Last year he hit 20, and he certainly figures to hit a lot more than that. Big guy at 6'3", 245, and powerful. You know what he's hitting here at Dodger Stadium? 377 in his career. Ground ball to Gordon. The shovel, the turn, and they get the 2. Six, 4, 3, 2 out, and the batter will be Will Nieves. Goldschmidt at Dodger Stadium hitting 377, and he now has 5 home runs here. Of course, he's caught up in a hurry. He's had 3 home runs in this series. Two. Nieves grounded to short and struck out 0 for 2. Bounce that thing. 1 ball and no strikes. Kershaw has struck out 3. He has struck out as many as 12 this year. He's low in strikeouts. He's had 3 games where he has struck out 5. Two and 0. 2-1. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the 6th, they'll have Nick Punto, Matt Kemp, and then Luis Cruz, and not Adrian Gonzalez. Again, we're guessing that Gonzalez hurt himself when he fell on the foul ball. 2-1. Ground ball to Gordon. Nice stretch again by Uribe. However, Gordon's error, Goldschmidt's homer, and our ball game is tied. Take another look. Goldie hits it high and far, and we have a 2-2 tie. Your baseball on KCAL 9 is brought to you by Jaguar. See the new model year lineup at JaguarUSA.com. By the Jim Beam Bourbon Burger with bacon, onion straws, and pepper jack cheese, all slathered in Jim Beam bourbon sauce, only at Carl's Jr. And by your Southern California Chevy dealers. 2 runs, 5 hits for Arizona. 2 runs, 5 hits, and 3 errors for the Dodgers. Paul Goldschmidt hits his 3rd home run of the series and his 8th home run of the year to get things even. So Miley working on Punto, and a strike. 0-1. Fouled away. You know, one of the little areas we like to watch, especially when you figure to have a pitching duel as we have tonight, Wade Miley and Clayton Kershaw. Foul balls. That's strike 3. So Punto goes down, 1 away, and the batter will be Matt Kemp. Clayton Kershaw has made 95 pitches, and one reason why it's been a struggle for him, there's only been 9 swings and misses. There have been 20 foul balls, and those foul balls eventually catch up and wear you out. Here's Kemp, struck out, flied to right. Matt 0 for 2. One ball and no strikes. Matt has 1 home run. In case you're thinking about that, Miley has allowed 2. And line drive, base hit to left field. So Kemp goes 1 for 3, and the batter will be Luis Cruz. So Adrian Gonzalez had to come out, we're assuming, because he had his feet go out from under him trying to catch the foul ball. Maybe it even jarred his neck again. So here's Cruz. And let's face it, for the Dodgers, a huge fall off. Cruz hitting .091. Gonzalez was hitting better than .340. Ball 1. On deck, A.J. Ellis. Fastball hit to straightaway center. Pollock is there. So Kemp holds at first, and we have 2 out. See, friends, remember Friday at 7:10, you can start your weekend with a night at the ballpark. And after the game with the Marlins, you can enjoy Friday night fireworks down on the field. Compliments of Denny's. For tickets, visit Dodgers.com/promotions. A.J. Ellis grounded to second, flied to right, so he's gone the other way twice. 0 for 2, hitting .277. And ball 1. Dodgers with A.J. Ellis, Ramon Hernandez, and they just called back up Tim Fedorovich. One ball and no strikes. Time. Wade Miley has an earned run average here at Dodger Stadium going in of 2, and so far tonight he's given up 2. Fastball hit towards the gap and dying, and here comes Pollock to cover a lot of ground, and the Dodgers are done. No runs, a hit, a man left, and at the end of 6, a 2-2 tie. Is brought to you by Chevrolet. Find new roads. And by Sports Authority, the official sporting goods retailer of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Two-two as we go to the seventh inning. We can duck in a couple of scores. The Giants bounced back, rallied, and won in the 10th inning. They beat Philadelphia 4-3. And the Yankees beat the Rockies 3-2. The Yankees pushed a run across in the top of the ninth. Mariano Rivera nailed it down for his 620th career save. And, of course, add another 42 in the postseason. So the Giants win. The Rockies lose. Giants go back into first place by a half a game. And now we'll see about these two. That's a strike to Gerardo Parra, who has doubled, hit back to the box, 1 for 2. Parra, good all-around player and a fine arm. He can play right, play center, and hitting .303. One ball and one strike. Little roller, Uribe. So Parra rolls out, one down. Time now for a trivia question. Steve Sachs won the 1982 National League Rookie of the Year award in what was at the time the 8th closest vote in the history of the National League award. Could you possibly remember who finished second to Steve? We'll give you the answer in a while. Here's Wilson, grounded to third and reached on the error. 0-1. Josh has slipped below 200, struggling now at 195. Foul back. 90-mile-an-hour fastball. 0-2. Dodgers scored 2 in the 4th inning. Gordon singled, Punto doubled him home, and Gonzalez doubled home Punto. That's popped up. Going out to get it is Punto. Coming in is Ethier. Arizona
Pitcher, number 36,
had Gregorius reach on an error by D. Gordon, and then Paul Goldschmidt, who had been 1 for 16 against Kershaw, hit the home run to tie up the game. Oh, and 1 to Miley. Took a good hack at that one. Wade struck out and sacrificed. Whoa. A 92-mile-an-hour fastball, and Miley had a pretty good rip at it. And another one to send you back. 4 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw, and at the end of 6.5, a 2-2 tie. inning. We'll set the Dodger calendar for you. Remember, Miami is here Friday at 7, Saturday at 6, Sunday at 1. That will be alternate channels on Friday night. On Friday, one of those, AT&T, UVerse, DirecTV, Dish, Time Warner, LA, Verizon. And we will see you Friday, although hope you'll be out here. And remember, fireworks after the game. And after Miami, 3 night games with the Washington Nationals starting on Monday the 13th. But we have a good one here. Dodgers in the bottom of the 7th. Andre Ethier, Juan Uribe, Elian Herrera. One other thought for the Dodgers is the pitch count of Clayton Kershaw. By making 9 pitches, he has now made 104. The most number of pitches, 117. Fly ball to left field. Cody Ross puts that away, and that'll do it for Ethier. 1 away.
First baseman number 5.
Juan Uribe finishing up at first base for Adrian Gonzalez. We did not receive any word, and you don't like to guess. The only thing we can remember is that Adrian, running to get underneath a foul ball, slipped and fell down. And then, next thing you know, he doubled and got to third. Another fly ball, this one to right field. Parra's right there.
Batting next, left fielder number 37, Elian Herrera.
2 out. There's the fall, the slip, and now down he goes heavily. And for a fellow with a sore neck, that certainly couldn't be helpful. We have not heard a word. If and when we do, we'll pass it along. Herrera grounded to second, grounded to short, 0 for 2. Shows bunt. Kenley Jansen gets up in the Dodger bullpen. Kershaw's spot is due up after Herrera. Tim Fedorovich is out on deck, the young catcher. There's Tim, just called back. 2-1 to Herrera. When Arizona comes up in the 8th, Pollock, Gregorius, and that man Goldschmidt again. Check, no swing, says Bruce Dreckman. Three and 1 to Elian Herrera from San Pedro de Macorís in the Dominican. Fouled away. I'll never be able to say that word without thinking of Pedro. San Pedro de Macorís and Pedro Guerrero. Three and 2, and that's going to hit into right field for a base hit. So a 2-out single by Herrera, and that will bring up Tim Fedorovich batting for Clayton Kershaw. So Tim Fedorovich coming up. For Clayton, 104 pitches, an error, and a home run. Have him tied. 104 pitches. Clayton, by the way, although he was not striking out people, he had very good control. Fouled away. Gregorius walked in the 3rd inning. That was the only walk given up by Clayton. Fedorovich had a huge game the other day. 0-1. And a check swing roller to the hole. Wilson able to make it. So no runs, 1 hit, a man left. Clayton's finished for the ninth. We're heading for the 8th in a 2-2 tie. To open up with a single, and Nick Punto doubled into the right field corner to cash in Gordon. Moments later, and doubled by Gonzalez down the line. That scored Punto. But in the 6th inning, Gregorius ground ball, an error charge to Gordon, and a home run by Goldschmidt to tie it up. So we go to the 8th inning, 2 runs, 5 hits for Arizona, 2 runs, 7 hits, 3 errors for the Dodgers. And it'll be Pollock, Gregorius, and Goldschmidt coming up against Kenley Jansen. So Kenley in his 18th game, good ratio, strikeouts to walks. And he'll be facing the leadoff man Pollock, then Gregorius and Goldschmidt. Jansen pitched in last night's game and made 18 pitches, so they bring him right back. Pollock has double, popped up, struck out, 1-4-3. Ball 1. That's in there. For Clayton Kershaw, 7 innings, 2 runs, 1 earned, 5 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. The error followed by the home run. 1-1. 2-1. So we were wondering if it would happen in the series, and it's going to happen after we have a disposition of Pollock. The 1 in a million shot of 2 fellas from Curacao going head to head in the big league game. That, of course, would be Kenley Jansen and Didi Gregorius. Have you ever been to Curacao? It's like a box of crayons. All bright pastel colors. Yellows, pinks, powder blues. Designed by Disney, it looks like. Beautiful. Still 2-2 to Pollock. Another thing that Arizona has kept alive when Goldschmidt homered in the 6th inning. It means they have now homered in 9 straight games. And he certainly kept the string alive. 2-2. Fouled away. Two balls, 2 strikes. So Pollock trying to wear out Jansen on a 2-2 count. 2 runs, 7 hits for the Dodgers. 2 runs, 5 hits for Arizona. Giants won, the Rockies lost. Two balls and 2 strikes. So far, an 8-pitch at bat. Pollock's just fouling them back. Two balls, 2 strikes. Check swing. I think it's going to cost him. Yep. So Pollock unable to hold up on a high fastball and strikes out. 1 down. Remember the trivia question? Steve Sachs winning the Rookie of the Year award in '82. An extremely close vote. Who finished second that year? Do you have a kind of a memory to remember Johnny Ray of the Pirates? Couple of fine ball players. So here's Gregorius, the 2 guys from Curacao. Ground ball, Uribe leaves the bag, that goes back and makes it himself anyway. So Juan Uribe having to play first base for Adrian Gonzalez. 2 out, and here's Paul Goldschmidt. He has just worn out the Dodgers. Look at those numbers. 6 games, .435 average, 10 hits, 3 home runs, 10 runs batted in. The price of gold we're not sure of, but the price of Goldschmidt has really gone through the roof. Ball 1. Two in the 8th. Dodgers will have the top of the order: Gordon, Punto, and Kemp. Two balls and no strikes. Kenley hitting .93 on the gun. Two balls and no strikes. In there. 2-1. Tomorrow, the off day, Miami here starting Friday night. A 6-game stretch, 3 with Miami and 3 with Washington. Foul back. The early report we get is that Adrian Gonzalez aggravated his neck strain when he slipped and fell on that foul ball. 2-2 the count to Goldschmidt. Deuces all over the place. And ball 3. Jansen has made 15 pitches, having made 18 last night. And another towering fly ball. Herrera to the track at the scoreboard, gone. Goldschmidt hits another one out, and it is 3-2 Arizona. He is really something. So he's hit 4 home runs in the series. Last night's was a game winner, breaking a 3-3 tie. Now he got a fastball up and in, and that breaks a 2-2 tie. So 3-2 Arizona. Kenley Jansen, the second home run he's given up this year. And a strike. Wow. 9 home runs, 4 in the 3 games, 2 tonight. And Gold goes up again. One ball and 1 strike to Cody Ross. Ross hit into a double play, singled and was picked off, singled and was erased on a double play. Breaking ball in there nicely, 1-2. To repeat, the Dodgers will have Gordon, Punto, and Kemp coming up in the bottom of the 8th. And in there. So Jansen comes in, strikes out 2, but gives up a home run. For Goldschmidt, the first multi-home run game of his young career. He'll have many more. And it's 3-2 Arizona. Three-two, and we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. It'll be Gordon, Punto, and Kemp in that order. Kenley Jansen made 20 pitches in the inning. And a strike. One other little note, we were talking earlier about foul balls. The home run came 1 pitch after the 29th Arizona foul ball of the night. So the Arizona hitters have certainly made Kershaw and Jansen work. 1-2 to Gordon. Struck out twice, single to right. Scored a run and was picked off. And he also committed an error. He's been busy. Bad ball. Looked like a fastball up and out of the strike zone. So 1 out in the 8th. Nick Punto will be coming up. Miley has struck out 4. Punto tried to bunt his way aboard, was thrown out, double to right to drive in a run, and then he scored. And then last time up, Nick struck out. Paid attendance tonight, 31,512. 31,512. Down in the Dodger bullpen, Ronald Belisario begins to loosen up. Bottom of the 8th, 3-2 Arizona, trying to sweep the Dodgers. They swept them the end of July, early August last year. But for Kirk Gibson, I mean, his team is really beating up on the Dodgers. If they win tonight, they will have beaten the Dodgers 15 of the last 18. Three 3-0 the count to Nick Punto. 3-1. On deck, Matt Kemp. Kemp has struck out, fly to right, single to left. Hit down the line, foul, out of play. In the Arizona bullpen, Brad Ziegler begins to warm up. Miley has now reached exactly 100 pitches. Fastball. Punto a little late. That was 93. So after 100 pitches, he's still throwing 93. Two balls and two strikes. Fastball. That's at 92, and Punto just does get a piece of it. We're in the bottom of the 8th, 1 out, bases empty, 3-2 Arizona. Breaking ball hit to short. So 2 out, Matt Kemp coming up. MLB.com at bat. That's the #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Dodger baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text at Bat to 31826 or visit Dodgers.com for details. So after a little more than 102 pitches, Wade Miley will come out with 2 out, bases empty. They'll go to the pen, and we'll be right back. brought to you by Jack in the Box and the Chipotle Chicken Club Combo. Try one today with fries and a drink for just $4.99 plus tax. And by SoCal Dodge Dealers and the Dodge Dart. Dodge, new rules. Bottom of the 8th inning, 2 out, bases empty. Arizona leading the Dodgers 3-2. Gibby lifts Miley, who made 102 pitches. Brings in Brad Ziegler, a sidearm submarine right-hander, to face Matt Kemp. Miley pitched a wonderful game, and now Kemp is 1 for 7 against Ziegler. Strike. Brad Ziegler, 6'4", 210, out of Pratt, Kansas. Went to school at Southwest Missouri State. Grew up not too far from Albert Pujols. 1-1. He was signed by the A's after having originally been inked by the Phillies. One and 2. Matt tonight struck out, fly to right, single to left, hitting .274. On deck, Luis Cruz. Big slider. So Kemp goes down for the second time. Down go the Dodgers in the 8th. At the end of 8, 3-2 Arizona. Series. First he homered against Chris Capuano in game 1. Then last night he hit the game-winning home run against Brandon Lee. And for good measure tonight, he hits 2 home runs in the 6th inning with a man aboard against Clayton Kershaw. And for good measure, his 4th of the series, he hits a home run against Kenley Jansen. So we go to the 9th inning. It's 3-2 Arizona. Brad Ziegler came in, took 4 pitches to strike out Matt Kemp. And in the 9th inning, it'll be Prado, Nieves, and Parra as Arizona glories in the gold. Belisario will be the 3rd Dodger pitcher. Clayton Kershaw went 7, then Jansen, and now Belisario. 3 runs, 6 hits for Arizona, 2 runs, 7 hits, 3 errors for the Dodgers. Prado has popped up, grounded out, hit into a double play, and ball 1. One and 0. Fastball tapped to the right side. Punto. One away, and Will Nieves coming up.
Catcher, number 27, Will Nieves.
Nieves grounded to short, struck out, grounded out again, giving Miguel Montero a well-deserved rest. Montero has been in 31 of the 34 games, and Nieves doing well, hitting .316. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the ninth against Brad Ziegler, they will have Luis Cruz, remember, hitting in Adrian Gonzalez's spot, then A.J. Ellis and Andre Ethier. Dodgers could go to the bench. They have Carl Crawford. They also have Skip Schumacher. Thinking about that Submariner or Submariner. 1-1 the count to Will Nieves. Gerardo Parra on deck. Hit off his foot. Arizona leaves here. They'll play the Philadelphia Phillies, a 4-game series starting tomorrow night. 2-2. 3-6-0 for Arizona. 2-7-3 for the Dodgers. And poke to the hole. Punto. So we have 2 down in the top of the 9th inning. And the batter, Gerardo Parra.
Batting next, right fielder, Gerardo Parra.
Parra doubled, hit back to the box, and grounded out. 1-4-3. Josh Wilson on deck. Heath Bell begins to warm up in the Arizona bullpen. In the absence of J.J. Putz, Bell now is the closer. Putz last night strained his right elbow and had to come out of the game in favor of Bell. Little roller. Uribe. The 3 ground balls. 1, 2, 3 in the 9th. Dodgers in the bottom of the 9th, trailing 3-2 against Heath Bell. .62 and about 250. Born in Oceanside, still lives down near San Diego. He was originally signed by the Mets. His dad, a United States Marine. Heath Bell came up briefly to the Mets after about 7 years in the minors, but he found a home with the Padres from 07 through 11. Last year with the Marlins. Last year he was a bitter disappointment to the Marlins. He was 4-5. He saved 19, and his earned run average was over 5. However, Heath came in last night to pick up for Putz, who had hurt his elbow, and he shut the Dodgers down. Dodgers will have Skip Schumacher to bat for Cruz, then Ellis and Ethier. Schumacher hitting 135, fouled away. And looking at the work against Heath Bell, Schumacher is 4 for 8 against him in the past, 500 batting average. So it's Schumacher, A.J. Ellis, Andre Ethier. The outfield is deep, but around the left field, they give him all of straightaway right. And they pitch him away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Parra is over into right center. One ball and 1 strike. Fastball at 93. Heath is 6'2", and he is about, well, he'll be 36 the end of September. Ground ball inside third, down the line. Racing over to get it is Ross, and he tries to get it back in time, but going into second easily is Schumacher, and Cody Ross went sliding into the wall, and I think he had to get the ball back to the infield while he was down on the ground. So Schumacher off the bench to Tubble. We get a better shot at it here by the diving Prado. Yeah, there's Cody on his side. That's what we guessed, the way the ball came out of there. So Schumacher, the tying run at second base, nobody out. A.J. Ellis, Andre Ethier, and Juan Uribe. Goldschmidt's up about even with the bag. Prado is back. And a strike. A.J. Ellis against Miley. Grounded to second, flied to right, flied to center. 0-1. Fastball at 94. 0-2 the count to A.J. Ellis. Ellis 2 home runs, 9 runs batted in. Against Heath Bell, A.J. Ellis is just 0 for 2. Schumacher out there is 5 for 9. And a ground ball to short. They hold Schumacher. 1 away. So now the batter is Andre Ethier, who flied to right, single to left, and flied to left. Andre Ethier against Heath Bell is hitting 143. 2 hits and 14 at-bats. 1 out, 9th inning, tying run at second base. D-backs leading 3-2. Juan Uribe hitting back of Ethier. And a strike outside corner at the knees. 0-1. Andre, 3 home runs, 10 runs batted in. Schumacher with Gregorius directly behind him. 0-2. Gregorius trying to take a step away from Schumacher, and that's a big move out there. Could be worth a lot with Schumacher trying to score on a base hit. Heath Bell, fastball, slider, change, but he also has a splitter. Learned a changeup from the best, Trevor Hoffman. Show him a fastball at 94. 1-2 the count. Miley, Ziegler, and Bell. Kershaw, Jansen, and Belisario. One and two. Still 1-2. Miami here Friday night. Friday night fireworks as well. Hope you'll join us. 31,512 on hand tonight. 1-2 to Andre Ethier. That might have been the splitter. And down goes Ethier. The bottom just drops out of this thing. Look, it's up there, and then boom. Dodgers now go to Carl Crawford to hit for Uribe to try and pick up Schumacher. Crawford with a tender hamstring, which is why he didn't start tonight. Batting .304. They have a little meeting at the mound talking to Bell. Heath Bell and Carl Crawford. Crawford is 0-for-2 against him. So Schumacher the tying run at second with 2 out. A frustrated Ethier has a lot of company. Fastball, strike, 0-1. Carl Crawford played last night's game and went 1 for 5. Hit a home run in the first game. And that's on the outside corner. So Bell, with 2 94-mile-an-hour fastballs, makes 2 great pitches. One and two. Schumacher opened up the inning batting for Cruz and doubled. Ellis grounded to short. Ethier struck out. And here's Crawford, 1-2. Earlier, the Dodgers used Fedorovich. He grounded out. One ball and two strikes. Two and two. Every pitch away. The outfield is deep and playing him to go that way. They give him all of straightaway right. So deuces wild, 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, a runner at second, and Arizona leading 3-2. Two and two. High fly ball to left field is playable. Ross is there, and that's it. The Dodgers lead the potential tying run at second base. 3 runs, 6 hits, and no errors for Arizona. For the Dodgers, who lose their 7th in a row, 2 runs, 8 hits, and 3 errors. For Heath Bell, he made 17 pitches to put the lid on it. A reminder, Friday night, it'll be with Miami. Hope you'll be out here with us. Till then, we wish you all a very pleasant good evening.